right, what's up, everybody? Happy New Year. Hope you all had a nice, safe time with your family and your friends and your loved ones. Um, and yeah, let's just get back into it. I mean, I think that this year is going to be really interesting in the market. I think that just based on reading what everyone else is saying, and a lot of sentiment online and a lot of higher level stuff. I don't think that this is like a new year, new market. I think we're going to have a lot more pain up until maybe summertime, based on what I'm seeing. But I'll go ahead and revisit as we approach as time goes on, right? I'll continue to kind of update the outlook, but right now I'm still very bearish, as we all should be. And we should take that bearishness and turn it into optimism and hope that the market will give us better entries and we'll ride the puts on the way down. So anyway, all right, so let's get started. I have just a few that I want to look at. And then I'm gonna blast through these real quick, and then if you guys have any ones that you want to look at, we can go ahead and handle it. So the first thing I have is SPX. SPX is obviously within the same kind of falling broadening formation that it's been in since the beginning of the year, right? It kind of looks something like this. Let me actually do one of these real quick. I'm trying to be a little bit more consistent and giving myself a fresh set of eyes on a chart, right? So like, making it look clearing my lines out and all that stuff. So all right, so on the monthly we have obvious downtrend, pulling back to the same kind of resistance level here. We stopped at it on November, and we kind of fell all of December, although we're still in the range of this candle, so that's interesting. If we look over to the weekly, which is on the right, top right, we got some buyers stepping in at this level, which I think is quite interesting. And we do have an inside week, right? So I love that about SPX right now. I love that it hasn't been straight puke, although it's felt like that, but it hasn't been straight puke if you look at it in a kind of in a broader sense, right? So we have the range of the previous week here, and then we're inside of that range currently with last week's candle. Obviously anything can happen, and this can open up above or below the range of last week's candle, which is this one here. But that being said, I would be hesitant to take any upside until it's back in the range of kind of this wick over here, and it continues to show strength there, right? Any kind of pops over here, I think they'll probably be short-lived. The only thing that I do really like about SPX on the upside is the fact that it's kind of built a base in this area for about a week and a half. So that might give it some momentum, especially with some buyers stepping in on Friday on low volume, right? Pretty low volume, but I do like this base that's been formed. Now, if we do get the downside, then obviously, this level here at 3764 has a lot of kind of traffic. If you look over to the left, the three candlesticks that kind of or 4 or 5 candlesticks that kind of coincided with this area. Once we kind of give this area up, then we can kind of target this area here and this area here. And that's where I think that we're generally going to be headed. So even if we kind of pop, unless we get back into this area and above this trend line, I see more downside to retest this level here where we had some indecision. A lot of sellers stepped in, a lot of buyers stepped in and brought us, a change of direction. So I think that we're going to revisit that area pretty soon. If you look at the daily, same old song, right? We're sitting below the 200. We're sitting below all the moving averages, and we're kind of basing underneath the 50. So part of me thinks that there's going to be a pop in order to kind of retest this 50. And then once we get to that 50, it might be time to kind of fall, right? So I'll be kind of cautious in the meantime, but if we have an opportunity for a bullish move to the upside for a day or two, then why not take it, right? Let's look at the 1 hour. The 1 hour has a nice little inverse head and shoulders building on it right now. Let me draw it out real quick. Draw it out. Where's my here? Right. with kind of a weird, funky looking neckline, but we got that. Right, that's the left shoulder. We got the head right there. And we kind of got a right shoulder, right? Kind of like a right shoulder vibe here. So just draw like this would be like the neckline here, right? You see where all the sellers are along this line. Selling pressure over here, selling pressure over here, selling pressure over here. And an interesting pattern on this 1 hour that I want us to start paying attention to. And it might be short-lived, but who knows, right? But you see like this kind of basing indecision kind of pattern, and then it drops pretty hard after that, right? It did it over here too. It kind of based for a little bit and then dropped hard. This is the one that was very interesting. I made it extremely obvious. It was like an entire day worth of kind of sideways action along that 50-day, and then dropped really, really hard after that. And then kind of the same thing here where it went sideways a bunch and then dropped pretty hard, and then it gapped up, went sideways, and then dropped pretty, like opened up lower, right? So that's an interesting pattern I think that the market's doing right now. I'm not sure how long it'll last. But let's keep our eyes open in case it gives us another entry for a short side in the next couple of days. So that's what I see with SPY. Maybe we can get a nice little pop into this 50-day. We have the 50-day, the 100-day, and the what's my gray one? Is this the 20? Yeah, my 20, my 50, and my 100 sitting right on top of each other. So I see another potential pop to kind of retest it the way that we did here, and from there maybe get some strength and fill some of these gaps to the upside, right? This gap here, this gap there. I'm sure there's another. We got this double top here. Maybe we can revisit at 4100, but I'll be watching it around this area at 3900, right? 3900 is going to be the key level to break if we want upside. Otherwise, if we don't immediately break it and hold and stay above it, I feel like this is going to drop really, really, really hard. So that's what I'll be watching for this week. Next one I have is JP Morgan. I'm loving JP Morgan on the daily and on the weekly. But let's start with the monthly. If we look at the monthly, we had some kind of sideways, and then it kind of gapped up, pulled back a little bit, tried to continue the move, and then a bunch of sellers stepped in. This is November 2021. Obviously, that's when the market kind of made a U-turn, and obviously set a new trend of lower highs and lower lows. And now we kind of broke through this high here and formed a new high in November. And December even made a higher print than November, right? So with some buyers towards the end of December. So I think that's very interesting for JP Morgan. I think that banks stand to benefit, especially with, there was something that I saw that, actually, let me check my favorites on my Twitter right now, that I saw that was very intriguing regarding banks and lending. Here it is. I'm going to go ahead and post it in the server. Hang on. I'm going to post it on the trade floor. It's basically a tweet. I don't know, that says delete. It's basically a tweet from Hedge Eye saying that the lender of last resort has begun lending, right? And if you look at the graph, the massive spike on the left is right after the housing crash, right? So January 2009 was when it kind of spiked. January. January 2000. So it started January 2008, and they lended all year long, right? The Fed lended all year long up until January 2009, and then it kind of tapered off from there. The next time it did it was right in the beginning of the pandemic, right in March, when kind of everything, when they propped up the market pretty much. And now you see that there's a little additional lending activity occurring now. And I think that banks stand to, and I'm going to dive into it more, but I think that banks stand to benefit from this activity. So JP Morgan, obviously, Goldman Sachs, whatever banks that you're interested in trading, I would go ahead, Bank of America, whoever, I would go ahead and just keep them on watch to see how they move and see if there's any kind of correlation between them and obviously the Fed, right? There's always a correlation, but now there's a possibility for, if they're lending, that means that it's going to get easier for banks to lend, which means more people are going to have more trust in banks, et cetera, et cetera. More money goes into banks. More people keep money in the banks. They can lend at more favorable rates. it's just a waterfall, right? So this might be a positive catalyst for banks. So JP Morgan is one of my favorites to play, and it just so happens to have a really nice setup. If you look over at the weekly, it has sort of a bear flag, bull flag. You just draw it. You got this kind of flagpole right there, you know, with your flag here. And then I'm gonna actually run a fib on this real quick. Yeah, so this pulled back about 23% of the move, found support, and now is kind of breaking out of that flag pattern, right? Making a new high. We had this inside candle here on this week, and JP Morgan broke out of that range to the upside. So now we have to test the top of this candle, which is 137.09, and then from there we can get to like this area here at 138 and change, right? So it looks very bullish to me on the weekly. If we look over at the daily, let me get rid of some of this stuff. Just get rid of the volume. Good volume came in on Friday and on Wednesday. A lot of buyers, right? And just get rid of that. No sync. No sync. Okay. And then if you look at the daily, which is down here on the bottom right, you see that there's a few things going on here. Obviously, you see the kind of channel that it's kind of chilling in. We're above this is the 20-day on my daily. Yeah, this is my 20-day. So we're above the 20, and we've bounced off of the 50 as support, right? A couple of days, and we're holding the 50. But the most important thing I think here is that the 50 crossed through the 200. This is my 50 in the red and my 200 in black, right? So that signals a bullish cross, a golden cross. So that's a very strong bullish signal. You know, nothing more to be said about it. We're about to get the 100 to cross through the 200 to the upside. So like everything looks very bullish for JP Morgan. And then if you look over at the 1 hour chart, we kind of had this resistance level here, right? And you see how it slowed down over here and then kind of popped above it, and with a bunch of buyers stepping in at the end of the day. So I would like for JP Morgan to kind of test some of these upside levels. Again, I'm going to do this the same style as I did a couple of months back, where, you know, I have a very small watch list, and basically if you see me call out a play, you can run it back to this video, right? Run it back to this analysis and see exactly what I was looking at. And if I don't get any play, I don't get any play for the week, right? It's fine. You know, I don't want us chasing anything. I want us to be prepared with a plan, right? That's how we should be trading. If your triggers don't hit, then there's no trade for you, and that's fine. It's fine. You don't have to trade every day. You don't have to trade. You know, these past couple of weeks, I took like one trade a week, and I was very happy with that. I was very at peace with it, right? So I highly recommend that for everybody. So these are your levels, right? 134.33, high of day. Break that, hit the next trigger here, 135.69. Above that, 136.54. And then we got the pivot over here at 138. So those are the levels I'll be watching for JP Morgan. I mean, there's obviously downside here, but I think that with the 20 and the 50-day sitting right there, there's good, strong support, so we won't get like a nice sustained move. So I'm not looking for a massive downside, but if it happens, then I would play maybe into that 50-day, right? Maybe like if you want, play the 130 puts and start selling around the 50-day, and maybe you get like $1 out of it or something, right? So that's JP Morgan. The next one that I have is, and after this, I'll take some, if you guys want to take a look at any, you know, a second set of eyes at any tickers you're looking at after Costco. I have a few more, but we can break it up, right? So with Costco, it's interesting because Costco looks extremely bearish on the monthly and even super bearish on a weekly, right? But I'm kind of long, right? I think that if you look at the monthly, we've kind of had this massive move from 305 on March of last year, or rather 2 years ago, 2021, into a high of 613, and it kind of made this big move, and is slowly working its way down. What that looks like to me is kind of a really drawn out, long, ugly flag. Every time that it kind of gets into this area, we just no sync. every time it gets into this area, so the last time I was here, it kind of slowed down on the 450, 460 level. And then it kind of formed a demand zone there where buyers stepped in and took it up. And then every time it kind of revisited this level, buyer stepped in, right? It came all the way down here, buyer stepped in, came back, buyer stepped in. Now it's back here. So, you know, it looks extremely ugly. And even on the weekly, like the weekly put in like kind of a bearish engulfing where the highs were higher than the previous week's high and the low was lower than the previous week's low, but buyers still stepped in, right? So that's the key right there. That's the reason why I have a long bias on this. Now I can be totally wrong, right? We're all wrong all the time, and it's about mitigating your loss when you're wrong, right? But what I'm seeing here is these buyers that stepped in here, if you look at it on the daily, you have kind of a broadening formation for the past couple of weeks, where price kind of slowed down in this area and then kind of expanded up, down, up, and then now it's down, right? Now, the same thing that I'm seeing with SPY is kind of the same thing that I'm seeing here. So this is going to be really dependent on what SPY does. If SPY decides that it's going to rip to the upside, it's going to take a lot of these companies with it. And I think that Costco's one of those companies that puts in a bunch of small candles and then all of a sudden explodes and puts in these massive candles. And so what I'm looking for is to catch that move, catch the massive candle move, right? We're at the bottom of the broadening. I think that Costco will likely try to retest this 20-day, right? Whether it's today, tomorrow, whether it's next week. This angle of attack is pretty sharp. The 50's way up here. Based on how sharp this is, we might just cut right through it just because it's so unrealistic and how sharp it is. Looking at how this has been basing so well, looking at where the buyers are stepping into this, right? Even on this day, it kind of tried to break through the lows and buyers still stepped in and held it right in place. So we need the market to give us a nice strong move to the upside to kind of support this move. But I think we'll get one of those big candles either into the 50, right? So from here to from 456 up to 470, 15-point move, and beyond, right? And beyond. So it really depends. So this one probably won't be ready until the end of the week when I see that it kind of, takes out some of these targets. Let me just zoom in on it real quick. And also I'm going to draw another thing that I just kind of noticed. Okay. I'm going to draw one more thing on top of this that I just noticed with Costco. All right. So obviously take out the high of day, next target, final target. Final target, 460, 470. From there, I would kind of reevaluate whether or not we think it has a lot of strength to continue or not. I expect it to base around this level, 460, 470. The reason why is because we have a lot of sellers in this area. A lot of sellers. Look at this big old candle here. Right, this candle here has a high of 476 and a low of 463. Right, so that's 13 points in one day, $13 in one day. And that's what I expect. I expect candles like this once we kind of break out of the move. But I think that we're gonna try, maybe buyer step in, take out this part. That's where I'm gonna get interested in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and set my alert to let's do it right there. That's fine. Add my alert. And then once I see that it starts taking that out, then we can kind of look for a play above 460. I'll probably play the 470s, 475s, and expect to pull some profit at this level here. And then from there, if we have enough time, then we can hold. Otherwise, reevaluate. But I have a feeling we're going to target this 20 very soon. The other thing that I noticed with Costco, I'll pull out on the weekly real quick, is that it's kind of in a channel. I also see, some head and shoulders, upside and downside. It's kind of in a channel. I mean, I'm just going to draw the ugliest channel I can, but this is what I see for Costco weekly, right? And then you have your, where is it? There's a shoulder there. There's your head. There's your shoulder. And then there's a higher low right here, right? So everything looks like it wants to go back up. However, this can also be like kind of a shoulder, head, shoulder, shoulder. Same. It could be the same thing upside down, right? It could be the same thing upside down. So, but I like it long for right now. I think that it's at the bottom of its broadening. I think that buyers like it at this level. If you look over here on the hourly, when it got down to this level, a bunch of buying pressure came in, and that was a straight green bricks all day long. So I'm expecting the same thing, you know. And if it doesn't shake out, it doesn't shake out. But I like how it looks down here. Do you guys have anything you want to look at real quick? Any tickers before I get into my next few? I have Moderna, Boeing, Cat, LRCX, XOM, and Dick's Sporting Goods. Starbucks and Baba. I see Jen. I see your name flashing, but I can't hear you. So maybe I think it's something on my end. So maybe just throw it in the chat. So I don't lose my mind. Yes, I see. Can you hear me? Yeah, I see you flashing too, but I can't hear you. So it's definitely a me thing. All right. Well, for the sake of continuing, yeah. All right. So let's look at Starbucks, and then I'll troubleshoot this before the next one. Starbucks. I had Starbucks on. And I took it off. I took it off my screen for a bit. But it does look really nice. Let me get rid of. Yeah, we can start fresh. Remove drawings. Okay. So if we're looking at Starbucks on the monthly, which is on your left hand side, the upper left side. Nice. So on the upper left hand side, we have big puke down. Some buyers stepped in to kind of hold the price up. Some indecision. Nice pop. We played this pop, right? We played this pop. This is where my box was. And then some buyers and sellers battling for months and months and months in a row. And we played this pop as well. And now we are looking like a potential 3-bar play on the monthly, which is very nice. Big range expanding bar, breaking out above all previous resistance, and kind of a resting bar, right? Not really increasing the range to the upside, not really breaking the range down to the downside. So nice bar, kind of holding its place right here. Very, very nice on the monthly. We're also kind of broadening up. Let me see. We're kind of broadening up on the monthly. Right, we got that. And we got, you know, kind of that going on. So the overall trajectory looks like it's going up. You know, and this resting bar here, this kind of indecision bar with a very small body on the monthly is very, very nice for Starbucks, especially after a month like this. So that's what I see on the monthly. Let's look at the weekly. On a weekly, we have, wow, this is insane. On a weekly, we had a nice move up, pullback, and then a little bit of indecision here for the next couple of weeks. They had a real big fight on this week, and then buyers stepped in, took control, and took it up for 6 weeks straight. And then we started to pull back, and now you see where buyers are kind of stepping in again. So let me just go ahead and quickly draw there. Right at the 618 fib, where buyers kind of stepped back in, and we formed indecision doji, and then like a kind of, looks like a low volume, a little bit of buyers, a little bit of sellers, but then the buyers came in at the end and kind of, you know, brought it back up. So interesting doji here, interesting weekly candlestick there, that last one, right? Let's zoom in on it, and it's right underneath the $100 psychological number. So you know, your hundreds right here, or is it right there, right? $100. So I think that's going to be the key level to reclaim. And then that also puts us, where are we? Let's see. So we have to reclaim 100, and then we have to fight the 20, right? Now, what I do whenever I'm looking at price action around some of these moving averages is I want to see whether they're reacting to the moving average, right? So you see a bunch of reactions over here, right around here, but I think these are all reacting to the 50-day, right? Because the 20's here, and it's just kind of slicing right through it up and down, right? But whenever it touches that 50-day, it kind of slows down and changes direction. So I don't think there's going to be much at this 20. I mean, we did have a little bit of sell pressure here, but I think that we're going to try to, based on especially what's going on here, where we kind of fell back, buyer stepped in, we retested the low the previous day, buyer stepped back in, next day inside bar, buyer stepped back in, and we took it up, right? We took the range to the upside. So I think we want to retest this 786 fib where the 20-day moving average is, and then from there kind of take it to the upside. I don't think that there's any sellers on this right now. I mean, I'm looking at the 1 hour, and we had like all the sell pressure coming out of that 20-day where the 786 fib is. Actually came and touched exactly the 786 fib, and like literally like seller stepped in right at the 786 fib, right? It did it here and did it here again. So that'll be the number to conquer. So we can play maybe the 100 calls into $100. Maybe the 102s or 103s or something, 105s, if you have time, and let it take its time with the 786 fib. I mean, my opinion would be for this to kind of buy a little bit of time, but the hundreds probably look really good for this week. Probably 102s or really good for or 102.50 or whatever it is. Look really good for this week. So I like Starbucks. So I'm going to add Starbucks to my focus list, even though I took it off. Yeah, well, it's painted light blue, so now it's going to be dark blue. So Starbucks is nice. So Starbucks will be one that, and Starbucks always pays us whenever we play it. So let's get paid. Baba. All right, so Baba has on the monthly, just really ugly downtrend, very, very, very ugly. And a bunch of kind of sellers stepped in, even though we broke the range to the upside on this last month of December. Yeah. Wow, that's beautiful. That triple inside day on Baba, beautiful. So let me get rid of that. So yeah, on the monthly we have we broke the previous month to the upside, but then seller stepped in, and so we have to kind of reclaim the high of the month of December. If we have a triple inside day, we're probably gonna have a same thing on the weekly, and then probably same thing on the monthly for a while. So we need to really, and I mean, looking at it here on the daily, you know, I'm seeing a low here, a high here, and I'm seeing. This is what I'm seeing. And I mean, you know, with Chinese tickers, it's really, they all kind of look kind of ugly like this. Like they're all full of gaps and all kinds of weird shit. But to me, this is a nice clear move to the upside with a little bit of consolidation, right? Big, massive red candle here. But we remain within the range of pretty much that candle. So not a major loss. It's not like we fell all the way down here or even back to the 50, right? So I mean, you know, big move up, three red weeks in a row, and didn't really retrace much of this move. And we're kind of holding steady, even though sellers stepped in. We still put in a green candle on that last week. Like as said, we got a triple inside day. So let me get rid of all these lines. There was some VWAP action going on there. Where price is kind of pinned to, so I'll have to redo that. But yeah, you see how the range has just been contracting, right? Another way to look at it is like this, right? You got that, you got your wedge, and so what happens? And then I mean, it's like, you know, it sold off, buyer stepped in. Came all the way to the top, seller stepped in. Tried the top again, seller stepped in. Buyer stepped in. This is the cleanest wedge I've seen. Now, the only thing that supports the sellers here is that we have the 20-day on the 1 hour sitting kind of right here. So price is underneath the 20-day right now. So that's the one thing that kind of supports sellers. If we do break down, it's going to be a nice, strong fall back to, I think, this 100-day. Which is at 82.67. But I don't think that China's gonna let that happen. I don't think China's gonna let their darling happen. There's been so much good news coming out of China, in terms of how the government is supporting the local economy. So, or rather the market, right? The companies. So I don't think they've done enough of that in the past couple of months just let it fall. But if it does fall, that'll be the target one. And then based on how it looks to me, I think that we're gonna come test this 200 day again. Just because we didn't we tested it here, we fell, tested it here, fell, tested it here, fell, tested it here, fell hard, bear flag down a little bit, and then didn't die. Like we didn't fall way down. We're kind of just consolidating in the zone. So I think we're just right there. Like, why not test it once more? So I'm a little bullish on this. Let's see what the news. Let's see what the news says on this real quick. How much market cap did they lose? China could, December 29th, China could lift global equity markets if it can reach GDP growth targets. So, all you got to do is say, hey, these are our targets. Move the goalpost a little bit. These are our targets. And look, we've blown them out the water, right? Very easy for them to do. Very, very easy for them to do. I think that China will do whatever they have to support the growth of their nation and the companies that lead their nation. And I think that Baba is going to be one of the first to stand to benefit. Whenever you hear something out of China, the first thing we do is look at Baba, right? Then we go to Baidu, the JD, PDD, and then the cars, right? Usually. I would just wait for it to break out of this wedge. I'm going to set my alert on either side of this day's candle. Here. And play the direction. Now, I'm personally leaning bullish, especially based on the way that buyers stepped in. If you look at Friday's action, right? Buyer stepped in, brought the price way up, rejected the 20-day, came back down, and then buyers found the higher low and bought it up there and just stepped in and engulfed this candle, and almost all of this candle. So buyers are definitely there. They're interested in it. So I like it to the upside along with them. Now, I'll be cautious to kind of take it, once, and this is the perfect spot, because once you see that alert goes off at 89.40, we've already cleared the 20-day, and now we're sitting in this chop. This chop is very dangerous. This is the same chop that I saw on SPX, where it kind of goes sideways on a line for a bit and then drops hard. This thing opened up way down here, right? From 89 to 87 overnight. So, and actually, what time was this? This was let's see. Oh, no, that was pre-market. So maybe some news or something, but same exact pattern. So I'll be watching this area very closely for Baba. Lulu next. Lululemon. Bearish engulfing on the monthly, right? Bearish engulfing on the monthly. We got a two down inside bar. So we got an inside bar on the weekly on Lulu, right? So now Lulu has a chance to break the range, not only break the range of this previous bar, but break the trend of down weeks, right? We set a higher low on this week from the previous week. If you look at the daily, it's sitting right underneath the 200, and so it fell underneath it here and fell hard here, but then it kind of retraced back to it. It looks like it's just hugging the 200. It looks like it wants to stay above the 200, right? So, I mean, it can do what it did here and kind of cross it, base on it, and then continue the move. Maybe it'll cross it, base on it, and then continue to move to the downside. However, I think I saw something about Lululemon having murdered their sales, and they're growing like crazy, and even with having like an excess of inventory, they're still like demolishing sales, right? And that's a very backwards metric. Usually when you have excess of inventory, you're not doing very well, but for some reason they're still doing really well. So they have that. Let's see what the news says. Retailers tout post-holiday sales amid elevated inventory levels. That's what I'm saying. Like they're making these crazy sales even though they have hella inventory. And I think all the inventory is just a result of like supply chain. We bought too little, we bought too much, we bought too little. We bought like kind of that like ebb and flow kind of peak and valley vibe, where it's slowly getting its way back to where they're in tune with their inventory again. Maybe I don't know shit about it, right? But that's what it feels like to me. That's what it's felt like to me for a couple of months. That's why Costco, Target, DKS, Walmart, that's why all of those kind of fell on their earnings, because they had an excess inventory that they couldn't liquidate quickly enough, right? And then the earnings before that, it was like, oh, we couldn't get enough inventory, right? Supply chain. So it's like, we have too little, let's order a bunch. We ordered too much, it's not selling enough, let's pull it back. So it's like kind of a, they're figuring it out. That being said, Lulu looks very nice. We had a downside break here, reversal here, continuation here, back into the 200. Lulu kills Christmas and Boxing Day sales in Canada, so they're seasonal. They got seasonality. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I bought a bunch of Lulu shit like last week, so you're not even wrong. And I didn't even realize that. I'm sure that they're always doing that. Day after Christmas is like our Black Friday. So guess what they did? They probably liquidated a bunch of their inventory, right? Which is good. It's good to get numbers on the board for them in terms of sales. So listen, Canadian Jennifer is the one who is constantly with her eyes on Lulu. I think that she might low-key be sponsored by Lululemon, but either way, and she's in tune with it, and there's a reason why we're looking at this. Last time she asked us to look at it, it made a big ass move the very next day. So let's continue. So let's keep the same energy with it this time around. I like it. I'm very bullish on it, especially that it's kind of closed above the 200-day with big bullish candles on the past couple of days. I think that with some more with some of that sentiment coming out, maybe they report some numbers early or something, right? Maybe the news talks about how well some of these retailers have done. We can come back, we can leave this zone here. So you see the channel from the 200 and this line here, there's one channel. I think that we can break out of that, set this, maybe get above this 100-day and use the 50 and the 100 as the next channel, right? Just like kind of we did over here. Maybe we'll repeat that area, right? So that's what I'll be watching. I'm going to go ahead and set an alert on Lulu at this level that I have here. And Lulu, the contracts are expensive, but when they pay so well. Like you'll pay like $500-600 for a contract and it'll easily go to 12-13 if you let it, right? So I like it. All right, let's go back. Let's jump back into the program. Let's see, Moderna. I am short Moderna. I'm short Moderna. The reason why I'm short Moderna, even though it's been basing for months and months and months, one thing that I'll say is that we've been in this channel since March of 2022. And whenever it gets up here, it sells off. It got back up, sold off. This is like a fly trap, or like a citronella candle or something. Every time we get to this level, it rejects. If we look at the weekly, and I think I wrote notes on, here it is, short bias, great notes, bro. Great notes. But anyway, we got the so we have this other thing that I'm kind of noticing now. We have these higher highs forming, right? And then we kind of have this broadening formation kind of forming, right? The reason why I like this to the short side is because a bunch of sellers stepped in once we kind of hit this week. We had an indecision week 2 weeks ago, and last week a bunch of sellers stepped in. So this is a evening star pattern right here. These three candlesticks on a weekly. If you look at the daily, we got a double top, right? We had that push, a bunch of sellers came down, consolidated, push, sellers took over, and especially on this candle, you see how they took over. The reason why I'm short on it is because although some buyers stepped in on this 50-day, there's to me this just looks like a nice little bear flag, right? Nice little bear flag. 50 days is a nice place to take your catch your breath. I see that it might pull back to this area here at 181 rather. And so it really has to compete with all the sellers in these past few days here. All these sellers, right? We don't know how much sell pressure there is in here. We don't know how many unlisted orders there are here. Unfilled orders that there are here. So this is going to be a very tough area for Moderna to reclaim. I think that it might pull back to it. Like it made a nice bounce on the 50. It might pull back to this area, find some hard resistance, base a little bit like it did here, base, and then drop hard back into the 50. And if the 50 doesn't hold it up the way that it did here, I think that it might come back down to where the 100 and the 200 are down here at 154, right where this indecision area is, right here, right where the previous resistance is. Right, because we had this resistance, we didn't really get to test it as support. So I think that this is probably a time where it's going to come back and test it as support. So right here. So that's what I see from Moderna. Plain and simple, and it might not shake out, but I'll continue to watch it. I'm actually going to just set my alert. I want to see it right here. Set my alert there and see what it does. And I'm actually going to set my alert at the high of day also. High of previous day, Thursday. That'll be my range. And if you do see me call calls on this, it's going to be short lived, right? It'll be a day trade, or it'll be a scalp or something, or maybe possibly an overnight, depending on how much strength it has. But this evening star to me says it all, right? And all these sellers on this candle and this evening star reversal says it all to me. So that's my bias. The next one that I have is S's favorite, Boeing. So with Boeing, just looking at the monthly, I mean, we had an inside candlestick. Where's my cursor? We had this inside candlestick to the previous month, and we broke the range of that, and this, right? We broke out on this on November, and December kind of continued it, even though we got some sellers stepping in. Now, if you look at the weekly, we kind of formed a double bottom right on this level at 120.68. And I know I'm going fast, but you guys know more than you might lead on to. You guys are very, very knowledgeable and talented, so I don't feel bad for going fast. So we got the double bottom. We have these highs, lower high, lower high, lower high, right? Higher high. First higher high, second higher high with a double bottom. So to me, it looks like it's ready to change directions, even if it's short term. And by short term, I mean, I just need a week, right? I just need a Friday expiration. Like I don't need much else. And then if you look at the weekly, kind of a 3-bar, a very slow drawn out 3-bar play. You got this big bar here that broke previous resistance. You got kind of a resting bar with a long tail, and then buyers kind of continue to move it up, right? Now we got this, and I'm long, but it can go either way, to be honest with you. Where's my low? It can go either way. It can break down to test some of this previous resistance as support, right? So it can come from wherever it is now down to around 175 very easily, right? Or it can just kind of rest, break this range, and then break that range. Based on what I'm seeing on a daily, right? It kind of moved up, pulled back to the 20, bounced, pulled back, bounced, pulled back. And now after 3 indecision days, it was a straight green day. Bunch of buyers, right? Bunch of buyers. Excuse me. Now, if you look at the 1 hour, there was a bunch of buyers in the morning, a fight in the afternoon, and then at the end of the day, a bunch of buyers just kind of took over. Let's see what they have in the news real quick. And they also have earnings in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. So Russia's Aeroflot said to buy 10 Boeing 777 planes leased from Irish company. So they're just continuing to sell, and we're in wartime. So this is going to be great for Boeing. There's a lot of reasons why Boeing can continue to move upside, right? So I like it to the upside. I'm going to set my alerts. Let me delete this. Delete this double bottom. Delete. I'm gonna set my alerts at the range of the high and low of the day, right? So what are we at? 190.65 with my trigger, and I would target 200 at this point. You start watching at the low of day, but I expect this 20-day to hold up support as well. And if it gives up support here, we have kind of a pivot here at 182.77 that might hold that support. right here. And if that doesn't hold, then we have this area here that's going to hold that support. And if that doesn't hold, then we have the 50-day. So, but with all that being said, like nice clear targets to the downside, I'm very bullish on this based on how it kind of pulls up, pulls back, up, back, up, back, up, back, bullish, up, go, right? And especially with everything that's going on in the world, this is perfect for Boeing to make money. So I like it to the upside. Next one that I have, I think I have like two more. Cat, LRCX. Okay, so a few more. Cat. Expanding bar, expanding bar, expanding bar, making new highs. Almost taking out all-time high. Right, we're very, very close to all-time high on Cat. 246.69. Is that the all-time high? Yeah, that's all-time high for Cat. 246.69. We're extremely close to it. So I just see us testing it, right? Just at least testing it. At least testing it. If you look at the weekly, where are we at? Look at the weekly. We had kind of downtrend, and then we had a Morningstar reversal pattern here, right? Down, indecision, up, continuation, big move, and now we're kind of flagging, right? We're in this kind of upward channel, but we're flagging. Inside week, buyers held it, you know, even though the market was selling off and there was a bunch of different things in the market that were pulling back hard. Caterpillar didn't pull back hard. Caterpillar kind of stayed in the same spot, right? So there's like some macroeconomic stuff that's not good for Caterpillar in terms of like, you know, home building has slowed up, and you know, interest rates are still, I think they came down and they went back up slightly this past month compared to previous month, right? So they came down, which is good, came back up, which is expected. Then they're gonna kind of meander around that channel for a little bit, interest rates. But I like Cat because what you hear in the news might not be an accurate reflection of what's actually going on. And even with rates as high as they are, I think materials might not be, and I haven't been covering it 100%, but I went to go buy some plywood, and I noticed that it was cheaper than a couple of months ago when I went to go buy some plywood. And so I think that like that industry might be quietly settling itself back, you know. Let me take a look real quick. Yeah, okay. I had to look at this lumber company, Weyerhaeuser. So the plywood was a little bit cheaper. I saw some more people at Home Depot, like, you know, people there, people at Lowe's. So I think that like that industry might be, you know, maybe basing, right? Maybe some activity picking up. A lot of people don't like to build during the winter, but this is actually a really good time to buy materials to start building around the end of February, beginning of March. So I think there's potential for this company to really start to make another move soon. Now, another reason why I like it is because of the golden cross that occurred here on the end of November. So we had this big, massive move, right? You see this big, huge move here, massive move, and it's kind of just been letting the moving averages catch up, you know, going sideways until the moving averages catch up. We got the 20-day here, and it kind of gapped up. A bunch of buyers stepped in on the 20-day, kind of hold it up. So I like it to the upside. I don't know if it's going to be ready right away based on the fact that we broke the previous, like, Thursday's range to the downside. Buyers did step back in. So I just want to see a continuation of buying pressure. I'm going to go ahead and set an alert to the high of day. If it does go, if it does fall, it'll come back to this 20, and probably buyers will step in. So I'm not going to really mark a trigger, but I'll keep my eyes on it. The one thing that I'm worried about though is we have this channel, and so, you know, 4 times it's been in this channel previously, 5 times it fell. If it pulls back to it, it might hit it again and fall one more time, maybe. So that's the one thing, right? So let's just keep that in mind. Let's see. And then another thing that I want to point out real quick is, look at these angles, right? You got this move up, sharp move down. Big sharp move up, sharp move down. Big sharp move up, not as sharp, right? The angle is not on this one here. The angle is not as aggressive as some of these, right? So it's flattening out a little bit. So that shows me that. And I mean, if you want to draw the pattern, there's just a kind of a falling wedge sitting over here too, right? Falling wedge, which tends to be bullish. The reason why this is bullish is because it's not falling like a bag of bricks. It's falling like a feather. Very flat, very slow. And if buyers decide to take control, then that's when it kind of rips. So I like it. I like CAT to the upside. We might have to be patient with it. But if you see me call out CAT, you know why. Next one is LRCX. LRCX, I just like the inside bar. There's nothing else on this that I like. I mean, the 1 hour looks okay, but I just like the inside bar right underneath the 50. I think that it wants to retest that 50 day. All the moving averages are all right on top of each other. So break through, smash right through the 100, and maybe retest that 50 day. That's what I'm looking for. If we get downside, then I would say, which is very possible, right? Very, very possible to get the downside. I would say that we would target some of these areas here, and then there'll be a nice gap to fill underneath this 397. So above 422, I would hit 420. Above 420. Yeah, above 422, I would look for I would look straight for the 50 day, which would be 435. Above that, by some miracle, will be 450. And then below that, we have 384, which actually would be a nice short play. So let's see. And then looking at the weekly, I see a potential inverse head and shoulders. There's your shoulder, there's your head, and there's your shoulder with buyers stepping in and letting the price stay high, right? So that's something else that I see for LRCX. Nothing else to it. In terms of the contracts, just get whatever you can afford, right? Because they're pretty pricey as well. Next one is XOM. I think this is my second to last one. Yeah, this is my second to last one. XOM. So I posted something yesterday. Was it yesterday? Let me see. Let's see. Was it yesterday? Or maybe not. But I saw something yesterday that basically said, oh no, I did post. I think I posted it on Friday. That basically said that there's a senator who sits on one of those special committees that closed his energy trade for like multiple energy companies. Maybe I didn't share it, but I gotta take a look and see if I can find it. Let's see if I can find it now actually real quick. So I saw that and I'm like, oh, they know more than we do. Obviously, they're in the know, and like I'm fine with it. I'm fine with like following people who essentially get paid to run the market, right? Like I'm fine. Like I'm not gonna be mad at them and be like, oh, you shouldn't be manipulating it. This shit's gonna be manipulated regardless. So we might as well get in on the action. So I saw that they closed the trade. They're expecting energy to go down. I'm sure, you know what? I bet you it was like Pelosi Tracker or something has it. Let me see if I can search it real quick. I think that's exactly where I saw it. Let's see. Here we go. Van Taylor, Republican, Texas, may be sounding the alarm. He just sold over $12 million worth of stock and happens to sit on the House Committee on Financial Services. The largest sales includes almost $10 million worth of oil stocks. Trades include, he sold 250K of BMY, sold 1 million of CVX, sold 5 million of LLY, sold 5 million of XOM, sold 250K of MCO, sold 15K of Oxy, sold 250K of ZBH. And he is a Texas guy, like S says. So, and then they get into, oh, should politicians be allowed to trade? Blah, 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 blah. I mean, you either taking profit at this level, which could be the case, right? It could be the case. But it could also be like the trade is done, right? The trade is done. Who knows? But all that being said, I do like it to the upside. I do like it to the upside. I'm seeing this kind of rising wedge on it now, which is kind of not good for my upside bias, but right, we got kind of that going on. But what I see on the monthly is a big big bull flag, right? We got the bull flag breakout into another bull flag breakout into another possibly bull flag, right? On the weekly, we have nice battle between buyers and sellers. Buyers looked like they had it here. Sellers stepped back in. Buyers then regained it. Sellers then regained it. Buyers then regained it, right? So, and now we're pulling back a little bit. Let me just draw a quick one on this. We bounced right at the 618 fib, so good spot. Bounce at the 618 above the 786. So the only place left is up, right? Unless this is going to be a rising wedge breakdown. So I just like it for the momentum to the upside. Like there's so much momentum behind it. A little bit of pullback is not going to bother anybody. This is definitely a tough level. You see how many times we try to take this level on XOM and it failed each and every time. That last time I failed was really tough. So I'm sure there's a supply zone there, right? Sure of it. But what I like about it is we were underneath the 50, came back to the 50, came back to it, failed, came back to it, failed, came back to it, finally broke above it, and then tried to get sold underneath. Buyer stepped in and brought it up. Not quite convinced with all that sell pressure on that one day, right? Not quite convinced, but then buyers really took it up a notch. And actually, let me see. High is 110.50 and high here is 110.47. So we actually broke the range of this candlestick to the upside. So we made a new high. So the next place that we got to go is back to that high there, but also just kind of back to this chop. All this chop over here is what I'll be looking for. Now, that's my bull case. If for whatever reason we don't, and this is the perfect place for the falling wedge to break down, right? I mean, the rising wedge to break down, right? So I'll be targeting the 111.36 with this next 1 day or 2 day of the move, right? And then if we follow the guy with the money man in Texas, and it kind of technically kind of gets into this level, and maybe there's some, like Exxon Mobil reportedly sues EU to block new windfall. Like now there's economic catalyst saying that there's the potential downside for Exxon, right? What else? Exxon, U.S. oil refiners restoring lost output. Also, there was like a pipeline leak last week or something like that, right? So there's a lot in the market, in the news, that can easily bring this down. So if we can play this to the upside and then wait for it to kind of base and then take the drop back down, right? So there's a lot of trades in here potentially for us to look at, but I like it right now to the upside. We can revisit the downside once it arrives. I'm gonna set my trigger to high of day. Where is it? 110.50. Yeah, that's fine. 110.53 is fine. 110.53 is fine. Okay. And then again, I'll just draw the path for you. I see this right into my note, and then eventually, we'll do one of these back down here. I'll just leave it there for shits and giggles, see what happens. So that's XOM. My last one, then we'll look at BBBY real quick. DKS has a very nice setup on the monthly. It looks like kind of a dragonfly doji, but all I see is a green candlestick. A bunch of buyers stepped in and have been stepping in for months. On a weekly, we have this, actually on the monthly, we have this head and shoulders that's still playing out, right? Still playing out. On the weekly, we have this strong resistance level. You can see how many weeks we've been fighting with this one level. We broke through it the other day or the other week, pulled back underneath it, and then now we gapped above it last week. On a bearish week, we gapped above it. The other reason I like it is because we have Morningstar Doji on a weekly, which is where is it? It's basically it's basically this red candlestick, the indecision, and then the invisible green candlestick here, right? So I'm looking for some momentum to continue that move to the upside. I've been dying to retest this high at 146.95. I've been dying to retest that. So maybe it's just like my buy is showing, right? And then on the daily, we got this kind of cup and handle, right? We got this cup, handle, breakout. We got a bull flag here, pullback, continuation, breakout. So, and it's above all the moving averages, above the 200, above the 100, above the 50, above the 20. Sitting pretty, right? So I see a continuation there potentially. So that's pretty much it with DKS. And then DKS has the same kind of vibe as Costco, more so Lulu, right? More so like Lulu, where they're liquidating and they're still killing their numbers, even with all the excess inventory, right? So it's that same story. Yeah, same story. Nike soars off earnings star power, gains for Under Armour, Lululemon, Foot Locker. Retail sector swings lower on concerns that consumers are tightening, but that's obviously was a lie. The lie detector said that's obviously a lie, right? So that's what I have for DKS. You guys know this is one of my favorite ones to play, so I'll obviously have my eyes on it. Let me go ahead and set my alert here. Alert. That's where we'll take entry. BBBY. Why did I look at? I looked at it earlier, and I want to know why. Remove drawings. So the monthly is horrendous. Although we're back at this level here, back in April of 1995, where price finally came back to retest that previous resistance way in 1993, came back to retest that previous resistance as support, and then kind of moved all the way up from that point moving forward. We're all the way back at that point, right? Now the monthly, I mean, this candlestick is nuts. Look at all this. Buyers obviously brought it way up, and then sellers brought it way back down and have taken control. So that's insane. Candlestick is crazy, man. Wow. And so sellers have had control, but one thing I see here is, again, that flattening, right? You see that kind of flattening. Let me zoom in a little bit. On a weekly, you see kind of this flattening. It's not like the angle of attack isn't as sharp as it was here. It's kind of slowing down. It's formed the doji at the end of a downtrend, so it's potential for a reversal there. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. Right? I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but there's a potential there for a reversal. Although this would be an easy short play if it does kind of, in fact, give up. They have earnings in 2 days. Right? And then, so now with earnings for AMC, the way I would play it is go through and look at the numbers and see what actually before we do that, let's see. Earnings loss on both ends, sales and revenue. Same thing here, loss on both ends, sales and revenue, but we had that, and then we went sideways, and then we broke out. And you know what's going to happen with AMC? AMC is going to report negative earnings throughout this entire time. Let's see. We had positive earnings here, April 2021, when they were memeing, right? We had negative earnings here. We had positive earnings here right before it started to really make a crazy move. So, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. If we look back at all December earnings or all January earnings, this one's negative. This one's negative. Right? Although the price moved up after, right? This one, earnings fell, price came down. These are when they were actually beating their numbers. This one, earnings was good, price went up. So I just don't see. I don't see. I mean, I don't know. We went to the movie theaters a couple weeks ago, and there was a lot of people there. We went to see Avatar, and there was a whole bunch of people there. And I mean, I expected that, right? I don't know. I don't know how the movie business is doing. Oh, this is BBBY. Holy shit. Sorry, guys. Sorry. This changes everything. BBBY is rumored to be going out of business soon. I don't expect their earnings to beat. And then we have like one of their board members is like, yo, I'm out of here, right? Benjamin Rosenzweig bounced. He's out of here. BBBY discloses SEC letter concerning fiscal 2021 report. Shares fall. Right now, one thing about Bed Bath Beyond is they, you know, they're in the same kind of vibe as like a Kohl's or like a Marshall's, right, or Ross, right, where they're like the end of the world when it comes to inventory, certain pieces of inventory. So like, and their model is, let's just buy all the overstock inventory that all these companies have that they can't sell. We'll gladly buy it for pennies on the dollar and try to flip. You know, they're probably buying it at like, I don't know, 30 cents on the dollar, and they're selling it for 50 cents on the dollar, right? And that's their model. They do it in volume, and so that's how they make money. But like, I don't know. Like, I just don't know. I don't know. There's a Bed Bath and Beyond on 62nd and Broadway, either Broadway or Amsterdam, whatever they cross at that point. There's a Bed Bath and Beyond right there, and they're closing down. They shut down. I think they already shut down. Actually, when I went to go see the movie with my wife a couple weeks ago, we passed by the Bed Bath and Beyond, and I realized that they were shut. They had closed the store. And then I dove into it a little bit, and I realized that there's a lot behind their business saying that they're not going to survive. The business is not going to survive. So what's going to end up happening, I'm sure, like, you know, they're going to team up with one of these other companies, and they're going to get absorbed, and basically, like, they're going to probably keep some managers in place. They're going to absorb their inventory, and they're going to become, you know, Kohl's and Beyond or some shit, right? Something like that. Like, I'm sure that's what's going to happen. I don't see them recovering out of this. You know, and their stock price is now $2.51. Like, there's no way that shareholders are happy with this company, especially since what it's been through for the past couple years. Maybe we just short it. But the thing with this too is, like, it's a $2 stock. You know, it's gonna move like 20 cents in a day, if that. Like, if it were to move 20 cents, it would be from here. It would move to like $2.68. So it would be here. 20-cent move, like, that's not going to give you much on options. This is something you probably want to trade commons on, like just load up a bunch of shares if you think it's going to pop, or if you are an evil person, you can go ahead and sell short on this. But I personally don't think that they're equipped to win on their earnings report in a couple of days. Maybe like Kohl's will fall on a sympathy, right? Maybe what's the other one? I don't know if Ross is public. Oh yeah, right here, ROST. Maybe Ross will fall in sympathy, even though Ross looks very strong compared to Bed Bath and Beyond. You know, like those, like I would look at BBBY and say, oh, okay, they're moving up. Let's buy some calls for this other company that's kind of in a sympathy with it. Oh, they're falling. All right, let's go ahead and buy puts, right? Like on this other company, use them kind of as a catalyst for another company, because it's like $2. You know, the contracts cost more than the share price, so it doesn't even make sense. This looks pretty good. This ROST, we got a weekly bull flag. We have the 1 hour sitting right on top of the 20-day after fighting with it a bunch. There's a little bit of a gap to fill to the upside above 116.50. Right, little tiny gap from 116.50 to 117 with some momentum that can easily get up to 118. And if it breaks out of that range, it can easily go to 120. Right, we got this gap. This gap to fill. We have, this is one range. and then above that would be here. So we got this area here, we got this area here, and then we got a nice gap to this area here. And then if we break out of that, we have a nice move to the previous pivot at like 132 or whatever it is. But yeah, let's watch BBBY. I personally wouldn't trade it because it's like a 2 hour stock. I would spend more money. I'd rather spend more money and trade something else. S said that Oxy just bounced off of a 9-month trend line. Where's the trend line? Is it this one? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So Oxy just bounced off this 9-month trend line. So that's another thing. Oxy moves up, XOM moves up, XLE moves up, CVX moves up. Yeah, and then it's even here on the weekly. Yeah. Yep. So high probability trade if it continues to do what it did in the past at this spot, right? It's already showing you that buyers like it at that level. I bet you, nice one, Bobby. Thank you for that. I know he's not here, but maybe he'll watch the replay. Yeah, maybe, and we all know that Buffett's been increasing his stake in this all year pretty much. So, again, like Buffett's much smarter than I am. Why would I try to go against what he says, right? Like, why? I could set my money on fire for free, right? So, oh, there he is. So, yeah, that's it, guys. That's what I have. I'm actually gonna. I know it was super quick. I'm gonna break out because it's beyond my dinner time, and that's it. But looking forward to tomorrow. Let's see. Look at us. Who would have thought? Looking forward to tomorrow with you guys, and actually looking forward to this week. I don't see a change in sentiment. Again, let's go back to SPX. Let's go back to SPX. I don't see a change in sentiment, especially since we kind of touched the top of this trend line here and we're falling down. We do have some buyers. We're on an inside week on SPX. Last week was an inside week. And so we're kind of in a weird, funky area. Maybe we got a day or two pop, right? Some post New Year's joy and glee. Oh, tomorrow's closed. Well then guess what I'll be doing tomorrow? Not a damn thing. Maybe we can spend some time, some more time, right? Looking at the same charts that we just looked at today. I'm delirious, guys. Yo, peace. Thank you guys for being here with me tonight. And hold me accountable. I want to make sure we hit at least 50 of these weekly watch lists for the year, right? Let's do this year right. Let's do it the way we're supposed to do it. Let's do it the right way. All right, thanks, guys. Peace. Good night.